Om. Today is the one day. So I want to talk a little bit about the one because the one is very, very deep, deep number, just like all the numbers, and you can really dissect it with Chaldean numerology. So what do you have to know about the number one? It has a number two on the inside. What do I mean by that, number two? Well, I don't have my classroom because I'm traveling right now, but otherwise I use my whiteboard. So you have to use your imagination. Imagine a downward facing triangle. Top left is 0, and the top right of the triangle is a 1, because in Chaldean numerology, the single digits are written as 0 first and then the number. So 1 is 0, 1, 2 is 0, 2, like this. Okay, so 0, 1. The bottom of the triangle is 1. That's the digit sum. 0 plus 1 is 1. Now, when that 1 is the digit sum, which is the personality of the number, is facing the outside world, it's working through the 0 energy. So it becomes 1 plus 0 equals 1. Or technically it's a 10 because it's a compound with the digit sum always is the modulating force, so it will go on the outer digit spot. The 0 here is the motivational force for the outer world, so it goes in the center. So the outer aura is a 10 or simply a 1, and then the 1 plus 1, the inner aura becomes an 11 or just a 2. That makes the essence, which is the center of the triangle, 1 outer aura plus 2 inner aura, a 3, or a 12/3. This is why they say don't drink alcohol is a 1. We can see that with Chaldean numerology because 12/3, the essence. 12/3 is a number associated with, among other things, can be associated with alcoholism. Because 12/3 in imbalance can churn a lot, especially in this position because this is the subconscious emotional energy, the 12/3, can churn a lot of thoughts because you have a 2 on the inside of a 1. So the 2 is indecisive, it's second guessing. And so until that 1 becomes strong so it can polarize and direct and focus that 2 in a very precise way, the 2 energy will just roll thoughts and emotions over and over, and the alcohol will be used to numb themselves, among various other things. But 12/3, as a side tip, if you see that number specifically in certain spots, it can indicate a high potential for alcoholism, particularly also smoking, and could be other substances like drugs. Let's continue on. I really want to make this video about this inner 2 number. So the idea is, the inner number is important because just like you, the inner is more powerful than the outer. Meaning, if your thoughts, feelings, and your self-perception is all screwed up, let's say you're very, very negative on the inside, but then you go and put a mask on it in the outside world, what you actually manifest is going to be based around the cause, the inner world, which is how you think and feel. So you can pretend that it's not the case, but it's still a pretend. You're not really, it's not an authentic. So you can only wear a mask for so long before the real you, which is the energy you're choosing to embody, comes through. But if you align the inner world first, the outer world is going to flow in a much more easy way. There's going to be less dissonance. So this is the idea of working with the inner auras in Chaldean, however you want to pronounce it. I go back and forth between saying both. So this too. Now, why is this relevant for number 1? It's because the 1, what is the 1 associated with? It's a very polarizing energy. This is who I am, and its whole magic is born out of its individuality. Meaning, it creates everything. It's supposed to be the pioneer because 1s come from 0. They come from nothing. They create something from nothing. Something that's new. It's against the grain. It's not something that's been done before. They're the visionaries. They get the idea. And then they translate it and they take and initiate it into the world. They're like the seed of the initiation that is later adapted and molded by the 2 and facilitated by 2. In other words, like the pregnancy, the woman takes the seed, adapts it, molds it into a baby, and then facilitates it into the world. She takes the 1 and adapts it for externalized expression. Then the 3 is the actual expression and the baby, so on and so forth. But the 1 is the seed. It's the singularity. Where 1s can get into issues with is in relationships, because 1s are natural narcissists, but narcissist doesn't mean necessarily bad. It means From the one's perspective, they're very focused, they're self-aware, their whole world is oriented around them. This is particularly true if it's a one birthday, a day of the month that they're born, a 1, 10, 28, like this. It's not bad because we have to remember with the one, that is their individuality is their magic. It's how they create, and it's what activates their higher purpose. However, the inner 2 is showing that they need to be empathy. Now, in particular, it's an 11. What does this mean? It means that for the one to have success, they need to understand the inner world and the outer world are connected. The one, the individual on the outside, and the one, the individual inside, are one and the same. So the one's game is about reflecting their inner identity into the world, the 11. So when they see people in front of them, they're not talking to someone that's just there for the sake of bossing them around or controlling them or whatever. It's them. It's a reflection of them. So if there's a problem on the outside, they need to look into the inside. So this idea of empathy, which is 2, what is empathy? Empathy doesn't mean like compassion and love. It does associate with those. Empathy fundamentally just means your capacity to put yourself in the other person's shoes, or whatever it is that you're, whether it's an animal, a plant, or your capacity to see things from their perspective. And that's what empathy really means. And that's why that's what 2s make for excellent coaches and guides and like this. But a 1 has that on the inside. They need to cultivate that on the inside. They need it for the way that they measure the world, their inner mindset is they need to see things from both angles and relate that back to themselves and how I can make myself better. Because what is the one's motto? Be the change that you want to see. Simply put, it is be the change that you want to see, and that is a success code. And then once that happens, the inner 11 also activate in a higher way, where the inner 11 is about getting downloads, this knowingness. There's intuition, and then there's knowingness. Intuition is when something's being put into you. 1s can just completely resonate with that source of knowledge and get through the 11, these downloads, the master visionary, because 11 is the master visionary. And we can see this using cube dynamics or geometry. I'm not going to go that into this video because that's going to get too long, but take it for granted for now that 11 is the master visionary. They're the ones who have the seed of the knowingness of the vision for an entire creation. This is what the 1 is doing. And then the 1 on the outer aura is that they can then initiate that. They can then take action on that. They can then direct it. Direct it means the 1s, if you imagine like a pyramid, put the point at your perspective at your eyes and then the rest of the wave going away from you. The 1s hold the perspective from the beginning, the singularity. That's why they're the director. They can see from the perspective where they know how to move and shift things to change the trajectory of them. They can know who needs to be where, who needs to be doing what. This is what it is. This is how you implement this. This is the right colors. This is the 1. They have the vision. And so their thing is initiating and directing that vision and being willing to own it. This is why 1 is associated with confidence, self-esteem. Why? Because to do something new, because nature, okay, let me back up just a little bit, because nature embeds within all the numbers the right qualities that will facilitate the role of the number. For example, number 5, the number of beauty. Supermodel is born the 23rd. 5 is also the center of the number square. It's beauty because the 5 is a cross-pollinator. It's designed to go out and go to different people and exchange information. They're the ones who create alchemy through information exchange. They know a little bit about a lot. They go to this place. They talk to these people. They have some superficial chat, shares some information. The 5 takes that information, synthesizes it, carries what they've accumulated to the next place, and it's like this. Over time, this creates an alchemy, which leads to 6, which is a unity. But in order for 5 to do that, it makes their job much easier when they have something attractive, when they have a little bit of an exotic look to them, because then it's much easier to approach people, it's much easier to get in a conversation with people, and like this. The number 1 is confidence, because in order to do something new, in order to go against the grain, in order to be a pioneer and stick to it and take your vision, which is outside of social norm and social consensus, and implement that, initiate and take action on it and follow through with that, that takes a level of confidence. You have to be very sure of yourself. And remember, the one self is their magic. If you're not sure of yourself, then things fall apart. It's interesting because the 12-3 essence, one of the major lessons with 12-3 is self-esteem. Because remember that 2 on the inside, they're insecure because they don't have the security of something behind them. Usually in the natural order, the 1 is standing behind the 2, and so the 2 rests on the 1, just like femininity is supposed to be resting on the masculine principle. This is how the natural order of things is supposed to progress. When the femininity is trying to do it themselves and become the man, there's a level of insecurity, whether they show it or not. It's not natural for femininity to be in that role. So they become unsure, they second guess, they self-doubt. They're not designed to make decisions. That's the 1's job. The 1 is the anchor. They're the ones who, the buck stops with the 1. They're the ones who take the information, boom, I make that decision with it based on my vision. That's why 1 is the king. 1 is the decision maker, 2 is not. So this 12 energy is really interesting how it relates to 2. The 1 is they have to master self-confidence. And now this ties back into why they have to stay away from alcohol. Because alcohol, for 1, will kill their self-esteem. Quite simply, it will kill their self-esteem. It may give them some false courage, but deep down, it's going to kill their self-esteem, drugs, substance abuse, and that kills the magic of the 1. Okay, I've said enough about 1 in this video. There's a lot more to unpack with it. I could go deeper. For now, I'm going to end it here. Questions, comments, leave them underneath this. And as always, I wish you the best. Happy manifesting. God bless. Om.